Welcome to the Blackburn End Podcast. The international break is over and we are back talking Rovers. The podcast is back to full strength. Mark's back, and that's what's good about this. Adam Wharton's bossing it for England. We have the Football Content Awards this week, and we're looking forward to that. But it's time to be. Is it time to be positive about the team as well? We're going to get into that because, to be honest, it's been a bit of a quiet week. There's no real headlines. We've had a couple of fixtures. We've played Old Etonians. We're wondering about where that anniversary kit is. And obviously we've got Preston coming up. So there's no headlines, so let's get straight into it. Mark, it's going to be a busy week, but how are you feeling?
I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Thank you for those messages. Yeah, it wasn't anything major, don't worry. I did have somebody asking me, cheeky sods, is it because I was going in the jungle, they'd heard Angry Ginge was going in? Bang out of order. I am not angry. But yeah, I'm all right, mate. Just busy at work, like you'd said. Obviously, I watched the video. It was Mike going solo. Felt a bit like Gary Barlow must have felt to take that. But I loved it. I loved the fact that you managed to get something out there. Just unfortunately, we'd love to do this permanently and full time, but we have to earn some money. Otherwise, it's getting pretty cold out there. So busy at work as much as anything. It just takes its toll now and again.
Well, the wife heard that I'd done a solo video. She thought I'd started an OnlyFans. And I said, even if I did, we aren't earning any money off that. So I won't be too worried about that one. Yeah, I mean, the thing is life gets in the way, doesn't it? And we love doing this. And like we said, we've got the Football Content Awards this week, which we appreciate everyone for sending us. I mean, it's you guys that have sent us there. Yeah. So we're looking forward to that. That's Thursday night. And whether we come last, first, whatever, we just appreciate, obviously, the fact that we're there. So we're enjoying that. But yeah, it's when we do this thing, we're not sure. I'll be honest, I'm not sure what I'm doing it for. I just enjoy doing it. Am I doing it for me? Am I doing it for us? Am I doing it for the listeners? I don't know. I just enjoy doing it. And yeah, but sometimes life gets in the way, and work and coaching and kids and stuff, and sometimes it just means we're going to do it. And last week it just didn't work out, so we did put that solo one out there, which I played the match reactions. Now I don't really want to replay them because there's no point, so I'm going to now take you back in time, Mark, to the Bristol and Derby game. Now, like we said last week, we put out the audio reactions. We were very positive after the Bristol one, very negative after the Derby one. As a unit, as a two-game thing, how was your overriding feeling going into that international break?
I think if it had been the other way around, I'd have been a little bit more forgiving. I think obviously it's the last game before the international break. It's a home game, the celebration, the whole thing, really. I mean, we'd had a good run. We'd had 3 wins on the spin, haven't we, going into the Derby? We got some momentum. And looking back, I don't think we've completely lost the momentum. I think it just it confirmed a few things we already knew. You know, for me, I'd said at the beginning of the season that we would get outsmarted by experienced championship teams. When you've got inexperienced championship players, that's what's going to happen. You've got 3 games in a week, and it was the culmination of all of that, I think. You looked at Bristol City, they were on the wrong end of that a little bit. They had massive issues. I think they had something like 10 players out, was it? So you look at their team, that was a bit of a false thing. But I thought, away from home, it's been a notoriously difficult place to go. We went, they didn't really cause us any bother, and we've gone and got a goal from very little, and there was very little in the game. I thought we showed some housery at times, which is what we've worried about us having, and that was good to see. But the costly thing was the injuries. And I think on reflection, when you look back, that's what cost us going into the Derby game. For me, it was just around the decisions made by the manager were the big talking points. I think he, I'd stuck up for him the week before. I thought he'd made some decent decisions. But I think you've got to question his decision-making in the Derby game. And then his rationale around it, I think, needs some scrutiny as well.
Yeah, the one thing that I tried to put into the video last week was something that me and you had spoken about over message. Was it's very difficult when you come away from that Derby game where there was a lot of emotion into it. It was who we were playing, why the fact it was an anniversary game, the fact that there was a lot of storylines going on with that, and then to just go and kind of roll over and get your belly rubbed in the first half, and then kind of show your teeth second half, but not enough. It was very mediocre performance that second half. It wasn't, the oomph we needed to go and get something. But you get that recency bias when you come away from that game. You feel very disappointed. So I think I did want to put into that video is we have had a good spell. And yes, we can look at the league table. It's not where we want to be, but it's a much better place than what we thought we'd be based on how things had gone. And whilst we talked about each game as an individual game and said, well, if this had happened, then it's a win. If the Ipswich game had carried on, we'd have 3 points there. Potentially, obviously, it's not set in stone, but we felt like it was going that way. The Birmingham game, that could have potentially been 3 points. So we started picking into games. I think there was only 2 games we was really disappointed about when it came to a whole performance. But then I would add the Derby game now into that. Yeah. And I just think there was a bit of emotion after that Derby game, and everyone's just like, oh, this is it. We've gone and lost. That the blip was the 3 games. But I was trying to be positive, and that's not a blind positive. That's not me being a happy clapper. That's just me looking at it and saying, do you know what? There is some glimpses there. There's some things there that we can look at and grasp onto, and let's just wait now to make a decision on how things are going in the next batch of games. And we've spoken about this loads since we've started, since me and you have been together doing these things, is we try and talk about batches of games, and you can break them up in different ways. That could be that you're looking at the quality of the opposition. So you might look at a batch and say, oh, the next 4 games are going to be really tough. So I don't want to judge just on the next 4 games. But then again, the 5 games after that, we might be playing opposition that we can get, or it might be an international break, block. I think now, coming out of the international break, I can see a block of games now where I think we're really going to show how the next few months are going to go.
Yeah, well, we've got 17 games, I think it is, before the next break. So it's between now and the end of January, I think it is. Massive run of games. A lot of those are Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, Wednesday. I think the managerial decisions surprised me, and I think I was a bit concerned by a couple of his choices. But I think at the end of my voice note, I'd said something along the lines of, if it looks like a turd and smells like a turd, it probably is. And what I meant by that was, it was pretty obvious what had happened in the game, and it wasn't overly surprising. We've turned around and said at the beginning of the season, we have got a lack of depth in certain areas, and we've done that to ourselves, and we've got a lack of experience. And it's not me saying that we are the worst team in the world. What I'm saying is, we were old manned by a team who have more nous, and we were short of numbers and quality, and that's going to happen when you're playing 3 games in a week in the Championship. It was kind of like, I don't know what else we were expecting. Doesn't mean it's the end of the world. It doesn't mean, oh my God, we're going to get relegated. I think we're awful. I just think it was, I could see it coming. That said, I think we've had 3 games that you couldn't necessarily see them coming, and we've needed it when you look at the league table. What's going to be telling now is, between now and probably the end of the year, going into that transfer window, okay, let's see what they're really made of now. Hopefully we'll see the mythical Musa Baraji come into the squad. Will Cantwell be fit? We know Wharton's out. It's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight period of time. And we've said we think we're short. We think they were daft for selling Hine because of his consistency of being available more than anything. Hopefully we'll be proved wrong, but Gested's wheeling and dealing and everything else, the time for talking's kind of done, and the proof will be in the pudding now.
Yeah, we've got this. Talking about batch of games, the next, I'd say that the 3 across the just over a week, which is Preston away, QPR at home, Wrexham away. I think there's a nice mixed bag there where you're going to see where we're going to stand up. But those squad issues are an issue. I mean, losing Wharton for a reported 10 weeks. Tote's not meant to be as bad as feared, but he's still out. And he was a rock at the back, controlling the back line. So Pears has now got his chance now to come back in. And to be honest, what he has shown, Pears, is when he comes in from being out in the cold, he does tend to step up recently. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think it's for what you've said there, it's the lack of preparation for the EFL. And that's what we've said all along since, well, like I said, since we've been talking. You've got to prepare the squad for this. And we have pelters with people saying, oh, well, we've had a full squad registered. It's like, yes, but look at the quality and look at the numbers. We've needed quality in those positions. And for us to rely on Scott Wharton has just shown the situation we've been in. We shouldn't have been relying on Scott Wharton. He was an absolute lottery of whether he would come out and do anything. And it just happens to be that he's stepped up and been arguably our best defender. So that's the shame for me. And like we said, I'm not looking for perfection. I'm never looking for perfection. That's impossible. I just want to see improvements. And this is where now we need to start seeing some players improving and stepping up, because they're going to get an opportunity and they need to come in and show that they can do it, because the next block of games is going to be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, we've had the international games. Usually we lose Tote. He's obviously not gone away, but we've got Pears who will have remained at the training ground. Lewis Miller's away. For those that aren't aware, Lewis Miller's playing at 1 a.m. In Colombia on Wednesday morning, and we play Friday night. So they must have been training without him, obviously, but in terms of preparing for the game without him, surely he's not going to feature. So, Hashim, Marishta haven't gone away. We've had all of our squad for 2 weeks. So, to be fair to them, they've had a really good run at these next run of games to work on a system and a way of playing that's worked. And I think when we've done that, we've tended to look better for it. Would we prefer Tote in the nets? Absolutely. Am I still worried about the similar things going into the Derby game, about being bullied against Preston? Yeah. We've seen that happen on numerous occasions. But we know what the Championship is. It's not a surprise to anybody, and they've got to stand up and be counted now. And hopefully we've got a formula of being hard to beat and in whatever guys sneaking some victories. I think you're absolutely right to point to the Preston QPR Wrexham game. But then you look beyond that. We've then got Ipswich on the Tuesday at home, Sheffield Wednesday, 4 days later, 3 days later it's Oxford, 4 days later it's Portsmouth, and then there's a week. So there's a period of games there where we're playing 3 in a week. And Tote might be back for the December, they've said, so he could be back potentially for the Ipswich game, let's say, if we're being really ambitious. Nobody else is going to be back that's out other than Campbell. We've just not heard anything. Miller will come back in after the Preston game, you'd imagine, so he's nice and fresh. But actually, the gap between Preston and QPR is the longest gap we've got now for 6-7 games. So it's a real test of this squad. It's to be hoped we don't get injuries, but it's a real test of them. And actually, people like Henriksen now have had a good run at it. They've had a 2-week break where they can have a period of time now on the training ground. And I fully expect them to be better now. I think we've now got to start looking at them. Henriksen, I've kind of give a free pass to at the minute. He's just settling in. I think now comes the time where you go, right, you've had a look at the Championship. You've come out of it a little bit. You've gone back in. You've had a 2-week break. Now we need to start seeing an impact from these players.
Yeah, and George Pratt's been recalled, so you've got to assume that he's going to be in and around the squad. There's worries now that Ali Biossu is going to go off to Africa for that tournament as well, which is going to be an issue. It's going to be a stretch. It's going to be a stretch, and we could, like you said, argue the next block of games is around that six game mark. There's a lot of home games in there, which hopefully is going to help, but there is some difficult games. I think the manager's definitely going to earn his corn here, because he's got to really rotate players around, and he hasn't got many to rotate. He's going to have to dip in to some of these youngsters and give them an opportunity. And hopefully someone steps up. We've seen it in the past.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is the opportunity. And this is all I want players to do, is take your opportunity. If you get that chance to get on that pitch, prove to the manager, prove to everyone why you are there. And that's what I want to see now. I just want to see these young lads coming on, pressure off them. I don't want them to come on and feel like the whole world is on their shoulders. But the pros, whether it's the Forshaws or whoever coming on, they need to come in and they need to do a job. We're desperate for it.
And I was surprised Forshaw didn't play. I thought he came on against Bristol City and did almost the Carl McFadzean role in the middle of the park. I thought he would play. I think on form, Montgomery would have played against Derby, certainly. I thought he came on against Leicester and did okay. Clearly got a knock in that game. Those went right down the back of his Achilles, it looked like. Didn't play for Scotland under 21s, although they unusually for Scotland, walked their previous game, so maybe he was just having a look at other people. But hopefully Montgomery's fit. I think I'd be starting him in the middle of the park, be getting some energy in and around it. Obviously, Tronstad's back, but Gardner Hickman's out, I think. Is it right in saying he got booked in the last game? So it needs to be mixed up a bit. I would personally go either Forshaw in this game or against QPR. I think he needs to play in one of them and just mix it up. I think he looks all right against Bristol City. Get him 60 minutes, otherwise what's the point in having him? It'll be interesting what they do at the back. I think there's two schools of thought. He talks about the height thing, and it was obvious that's why he was going to play Hedges. But if it's about height and you just want somebody to give you a real presence, George Pratt's a big lad. He was on the bench against Derby. All right, he might not train much. He might have been with Chorley. But surely you put him in the centre of it then and say, right, your job is just to win the ball, and then put the two other centre halves cuddling him, and their job is to pick up the men. He didn't do that. He went with Hedges. Personally, I would have gone with Ribeiro or Pickering. I think I've seen them both at centre half, certainly in a three, and done okay. And I didn't particularly think Hedges was somebody who stood out to me as, all right, he might be tall, but it doesn't mean you're great in the air. But I think he's going to have to look at another solution for Albiasu. Albiasu must cover 12, 13K a game. That's a worry for me in terms of injuries. And he's going to go with the African Cup of Nations more than likely. So we saw under Thomason, Hedges play on that right wing back at times. He's going to have to find a solution for that for me, because you can't play Albiasu running that amount of kilometres in 7 games. But I also think on the flip side, it's a run of games we can get something from. We looked at at Stoke, Coventry, Sheffield United, Southampton, Leicester, albeit not all in great form, but we thought, bloody hell, that's a tough run of games. Flip side, Preston are 7th, but after that, QPR were doing okay, but they're at home. You go away to Wrexham, who aren't setting the world on fire. Home to Ipswich, who we've beaten once. Home to Sheffield Wednesday. Home to Oxford. Away to Portsmouth. There's got to be points in there for us. Now, I know the Championship doesn't always work like that. I know we tend to turn up against teams that are, Wrexham is the classic. We've not beaten a relegated team away from home, have we, for some ridiculous amount of time? And I'm not saying we'll go and win at Wrexham, but you've got to go and get a point. I think you've got to be looking now at winning your home games and getting as many points as you can away from home. If you draw your away games, then that's promotion form. We're not going to be doing that. But I think we need to start. Can we get a point at Preston? It'll be a scrappy game. It'll be a minging game to watch for a neutral. But I think you can go there and get a point. I think you can stifle them. They're not full of quality. They're just a set of bruisers again, aren't they? But they're an experienced Championship team. What have you learned against Derby? Time to show us.
Exactly. And I completely are on board with the fact that this next lot of fixtures we can get points out of. They're games that we can win. If you told me at the start of the season we was going to go and beat Southampton, Leicester and Bristol, I would have just shaken my head and said you're absolutely off your rocker. But we're now looking like we can pull results together. We have got the likes of Cantwell coming back. George Pratt is an anomaly. We don't know what he's going to be like. But like you say, if you just slot him in there and just say, look, do the basics, that's all we're going to ask you to do. There's no reason why you can't come in and do a job. I think the concern for me is the injuries that we've had, and once again we are talking about these injuries. Is Pear's going to settle? Come back in and settle. The mental game of goalkeeping is huge. He's got to come in and he's got to settle. Whoever comes in to cover Wharton's got to come in and fill some pretty big boots. But there's no reason why we can't do that. Every club is in the same situation in the EFL. This isn't a Blackburn Rovers issue. Okay, we've got that extra Ipswich game, but every single club there, because I mean, effectively, we're playing an extra game this year to everyone else because we did effectively play near enough a full game of football. But everyone's going to be playing, Monday, Tuesday going forwards. So it's just whether we can handle it as our squad compared to other people can handle it in their squads. And you are going to get some random results in there. I just really hope that they come in our favour, because I felt like we were building something going into that international break. And the Derby game aside, it looked like we had something going on, and it looked like the confidence was building. I don't want that Derby game to be counter of what had happened. I think having Hedges at the back and, Pears in goal, a few different things happening, I think does help them kind of make excuses.
Yeah.
They can kind of justify the results. So as a manager, he can go and just say, look, guys, this is the situation. The reason we lost this was because of this, this, and this. Don't worry about that. That's not your fault.
Yeah.
Look at what we did. Look, when we could control and we had our squad, this is what happened. Then we went to the Derby again. The world was against us, kind of thing. We was unlucky. If he builds it on that and tries to build their confidence up, they can hopefully come out of this international break and continue. We've just got to hope that these lads are fresh, because it's going to be a brutal run for all the teams in the AFL, and we just got to hope that we're built for it.
And similarly, I suppose that has to be the narrative, albeit there's no Taunton Wharton stepping back into the team. Tronstad is back. But I think the other narrative is, until his injury, we couldn't see us creating anything at all without Todd Campbell. Everything was going through. And all of a sudden, we found a way of playing, and he's yet to come back. So that's got to be seen as a positive when he comes back, whether it is or it isn't. Personally, I think if you can't find a place for your best players, then you've got a problem. I think there is a place for him, absolutely. I think the manager's now got to earn his stripes, like you'd said. I think he's got to make the right decisions. I think he made the wrong ones against Derby. That can happen. I think when you look at this next set of fixtures, I don't think everyone's playing the evening we play Ipswich is part of the problem. So I think everyone's got a week there. But, I mean, this is going to come back to bite me on the backside. It's Sheffield Wednesday is the game after it. So of anyone to have the smallest squad in the world that isn't necessarily going to be able to rotate anyway, yes, they'll have had 3 games in a week. They will have had more than a gap than us, but you'd probably want it to be Sheffield Wednesday. But they'll bring a massive following, and we've seen what they've done to us before when they were equally pretty poor.
Yeah, I would have liked that Sheffield Wednesday one to be a midweek game rather than a Saturday, because that might have helped us a little bit more. But yeah, well, I mean, we'll get to the games as individuals as we go, because I mean, it could be that after the first couple of games, we've got a completely different tone. We're either going to be feeling like we're world beaters, or we're going to feel like the world's crushing us down again. That's the way of football. That's how things work. Going on to the game against Preston, focusing on that now. And I do know that we played Old Etonians, but I'm liking the flow at the moment, so we may as well stay on this. So the Preston game is going to be a tough one. I think the question is, something that's been going around social media today. Is it a derby? Is it a rivalry? How do you see this fixture?
So I've obviously just walked in from work, so I haven't seen that. For me, a rivalry is against Burnley. That's a real... in fact, no, that's a derby. A rivalry was against Manchester United when it was us v them. Burnley's a derby, but it's a hatred. This is it's a derby during the game, in the sense of you get a good attendance. But if we lose to Burnley, I'm shutting the blinds and locking myself away for a couple of days. If we lose to Preston, it's Friday night. I'll get on with my evening. I'm no more upset than I am against anyone else. And I don't think Preston quite feel the same against us. But me personally, I'd rather we finish first in the table and Preston finish second. I'd be more than happy with that. Whereas I'd rather we finish first and Burnley finish 24th.
Yeah, I think it's obviously a derby because it's local, but it depends. It depends how you define it. I think the thing is with Preston for me is we've had some good memories there. Janssen obviously getting his goal and we're going to get promoted. That's going to be the key one. But we've had some good times there. But they just do my head in because they just seem to get results against us. And because it's always, I feel like recently we've just lost the physical battle every time. It's not been a quality thing. It's been a physical battle thing. And because that's been my bugbear with this club for quite a few years now, where I want us to be big and physical. Whenever we've played them and they've just lobbed it into the area and we've had goalkeepers not coming for balls, we haven't won all those. And they've literally come in, elbows and everything and winning the ball. And that's fine. If that's how they want to play, that is fine. I'm okay with it. I'll be honest, I used to play that way. It's just done my head in because they've just had our number most of the time. And it's always because of that physical thing. So I actually really want to beat them because of that. And there was the one where we managed. We was 2-0 up, and then we ended up drawing 2-2, or it was 2-1 up something, and we drew. And obviously, then
John Flex, 14 minutes that was.
That was it. Fantastic performance that was from him, and obviously Beck getting bitten by the absolute monster that they've got. It's a game for me where I've started to dislike them a little bit. And I never used to, but I just feel like there's been a little bit more bite to these games, to excuse the pun. So for me with this one, I do want us to go. I do want to win this one a little bit more than just the average fixture.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think I probably dislike Bolton during the run of games that we have versus them more. Like I said, when I'm there, there'll be 4,000 or 5,000 Rovers fans behind the goal. It's a derby. I want to win it. I think it's a great away day, generally. Although we've not got Sam Gallagher, which I'm going to be honest, mate, it's the elephant in the room. It's really worrying me. I don't know how we play Preston without Sam Gallagher.
That 4-1 defeat at home killed me. That one was embarrassing when we lost 4-1 at home.
That was also on the back of was that just after the international break? So that was when we decided to play. I think Thomason just got his tombola out to pick the team against Burnley. Got absolutely pummeled against them. Embarrassing. Yeah. And then international break. Here we go. We know Thomason's run of games: win one, lose one, win one. Right, we'll win. And then it felt like, oh dear. Here we go. There are problems. And I know what you mean. I think Preston fans, but bless them, they've not had much success, have they? So the fans that are alive and have memories don't remember anything. The biggest success is probably beating us, getting to a playoff final once. So they're going to celebrate these big things. It's fine. For us,
well, they're fourth in the league, 10 points ahead at the moment. So hopefully,
you know what? It's usually the other way around, isn't it? They usually say to us, "Oh, I thought you'd won the league in September." It's funny how they're all piping up right now, thinking Paul Heckingbottom's the new Guardiola and Stuart McCall, when all they really do is knock it long and bully it. At least Osmajic isn't playing, but I've had a look into it. And I don't know if I'm starting a new thing here, Mike. I've not consulted you on this, but I had a look on SofaScore of an AI thing. But I'm going to say, for the purpose of not getting in trouble by SofaScore, I haven't used their AI predictor, obviously. Now, I personally am going to predict, I was going to predict a 1-1 draw and a bit of a minging game, very similar to the last one. Not much happening. I think we'll score first. I think they'll equalise. Everyone will go home and go, 2 bang average championship teams, but weren't it fun? Let's go home. It's Friday. Let's have a beer. What would you go for? I know you don't do predictions, but I'll tell you what the AI says.
I hate predictions. I had the feeling of a draw. I didn't think we were going to lose.
Okay.
I felt like it was going to be a draw and we was going to come away frustrated.
So they had no losses in 4. But the AI prediction, Mike, says, you'll like this, it will be 1-1. There will be under 4 cards. And when you look at the stats, that's what it's obviously based on. There will be 9 or more corners. But yeah, it says it will be a 1-1 draw. Because that's overriding the prediction. Sneaky chance of a Preston 1-0 win is the other thing it's saying. But generally, it will be a 1-1 draw. So there's a bet builder. I'll put it on. Job done. Yeah.
Let's see what happens. I mean, I again, talking very similar to how I've spoken most of the season. I just want to see progression. I want to see something positive. If you are trying to set up to just go and get a result, we can see it as fans what you're trying to do. We know when you've got lucky in the results. We know when you've been unlucky in the result. We know that when you're just trying to nick a game and then sit back. And we know when you're trying to control a game, we're not done. And I want to see something relatively positive. If you are going there to set up, to get a goal and then sit back, absolutely fine. If that's how you want to do it, that's absolutely fine. As long as I'm seeing something. If you are going there and you're like, do you know what? I'm not bothered about the result. I just want us to play our way. I want us to control the game. I want us to have possession. I want us to work through the phases. Absolutely fine, go do it. I just don't want it to be some haphazard Sunday league stuff. And that's what I felt like we was getting in the Derby game, where I'd seen some sort of tactical awareness from the team over the period leading up to that Derby game. I don't want it to just be Sunday league, where we're just trying to be really scrappy. I want to see some sort of progression, and that could be shown in different ways. But as long as I feel like the manager's got a plan, I think that's the minimum expectation for me.
Yeah, I think we've looked our best this season when other teams have had the ball. That's probably been the overriding trend so far. Preston don't like to dominate possession too much, but they're 4th in the table. They played 15 games, plus 6 goal difference, 26 points. So they have 9 better goal difference than us. Played a game more, obviously, and they have 10 points more than us. So they should be going into this team against their massive rivals and surely wanting to dominate possession, dominate the play, coming at us. I'm hoping, because I think that would suit us down to the ground, if I'm being honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's that anomaly of coming out the international break. You just don't know. You don't know who's going to be the more prepared, who's going to be the fresher. I hope it's us. I'd like to see George Pratt. I just like seeing young players getting an opportunity. I like to see who we've got.
George Pratt. So for those who don't know, big old unit, way over 6 foot. Captains the 21s, was out for a real long period of time. I'm not 100% sure what the injury was, but I think he was out for about a year. Got an extended contract, come back in. I've seen him for the 21, real leader for the 21s, vocal. In terms of players that we've had come through defensively, taller, but a bit like Grant Hanley, willing to put his body on the line. He's not necessarily the best on the ball, but I would be all right with it. I think if they worked with him in training for 2 weeks and they've said, listen, you're going to be playing in the middle of these 2 centre halves, I'm all right with that.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I've just had a quick look now. He's 22. This is a good age to get your opportunity. It's a good age to have a good look. There's not going to be much pressure on him because you're not going to get hooked if there's no one to hook you for. So there's no reason why we can't just stick him out there and see. I mean, you just don't know. I mean, we've had some people come through and I've looked at them. I'm just thinking, do you know what? You're not that great. I mean, some of the loans we've had that took a while to, Van Heck, he was someone that didn't come in and set it alight and then became fantastic. Tosin was the same. He didn't come in straight away, but then he ended up, even Hill and others. I think sometimes they've just got to kind of come in, and I'm quite happy to give him an opportunity, because if he's 22 and they're still offering him deals and he hasn't played yet, then why not give him an opportunity? I mean, how many games has he actually played for us?
No.
So he hasn't actually made his, not even in a League Cup, is it?
No, I don't think he has at all, no. Because he was out. He only came probably about this time last year, January. I think he'd sort of just about come through his injury and started to get his place back.
So why not give him an opportunity? I mean, he might not necessarily be as a starter, but get him out there at some point. But yeah, people, put your comments down below. What do you want to see happen? Who do you want in the starting lineup? What's your score predictions? Do you think it's going to be a draw? Do you think if someone nicks it, who do you think it's going to be? Or do you think that Rovers are going to go and absolutely smash it? That we all hope. Before we go on to the Old Etonians game, the squad issues that we've got, it's no different to any other club. Every single club around the EFL, they're going to point at certain departments that are just not quite got the quality or not quite got the depth. I feel like something you've brought up for the last couple of years now about the defensive unit being the concern and being neglected, I think that's now coming to fruition even more than it was. I feel like they've spent some money in the forward lines, Marishta, Goodjohnson being two of the ones that have been spending the most money on. It looks like Gay's probably going to be on his way out, but generally it looks like they've gone and built that final third. Even the midfield, they've invested in to an extent, but defensively, they've been quite blasé with bringing people in and spending that money. And to then go and let Hyam go, it's very risky. Is it still that defensive unit that is concerning you more than any other position?
I think it has to do. I think anytime you go three at the back, it tends to tell you that you're not that confident in your centre halves. I think but what anybody says, we've only got three centre halves. I think Miller can do a job in a three, but so can Yuri Ribeiro and Pickering, and I won't class them as centre halves. I think had Hayden Carter not had his injury issues, Hayden Carter is a very, very good, solid championship centre half, but we were talking about him anyway, needing to kick on. I think Wharton is a very solid championship centre half, and McLaughlin is a squad player. The problem being that injury-wise, they're not that reliable. And I still feel, and I've said it a few times, that we've got a number two centre half, and we've got three of them now. I don't feel we have a number one centre half. And I said the same with Dom Hyam. I think that Hyam always needed somebody to get him through games. He looked better with a really established partner like Danny Bart. Made Dom Hyam look miles better, partly because he played on the right, partly because he had somebody taking that, I've got this, you follow my lead. I think Carter's the same. Wharton, maybe not. But I think McLaughlin, to be fair, is not a first choice centre half. I think we've got Wharton and Carter, for me, fight for the other starting spot. And we're missing that nailed on person on the team sheet. And I go back to it. I'm not saying Dom Hyam was the best centre half in the championship. I don't think he was. But you can't turn your nose up at somebody who's available for 50 games consecutively.
No.
And what
we need reliable.
No. And if we'd have gone and got, I would argue Hayden Carter is probably better than Dom Hyam, but he's not when he's not playing. He wasn't better on Saturday. He won't be better this Saturday unless he's now available, which they did have him on the bench. So he's going to have to play. He's going to have to come back in and he's going to have to play, but he's going to have to play probably consistently and consistently very well. I think you could argue, hopefully, and this is where I was talking about Ismail doing his stripes, I think Carter has to play against Preston. I think you play McLaughlin with him and I would go in a 2. And then you have a decision to make. Do you feel confident in Lewis Miller playing a 2? Me personally, no. I'm not the manager. And I would then not play Carter against QPR is what I'm saying. I think you look at that and you say, right, Carter's not He's important now. We cannot risk him. So he's going to have to play against Preston and outplay him in a 2. But I think you rule him out against QPR. I think you just write him off, and they're playing against Wrexham. And then I will do the same the week after.
So this is the trouble that we've had over the last few years, isn't it? We haven't had the quality in depth, and we haven't seen managers that are willing to rotate and do a bit of man management and personnel management. Because the trouble is as well is, and I don't know whether this is a pressure thing, like each manager's felt the pressure to play their best players every single game, no matter what. And that pressure could be from above. They might be saying, do you know what? You haven't got time. We've got to get things right now. It could be something along those lines. So you've had managers just thinking, do you know what? I just need results constantly. And when you're constantly chasing results and chasing points, and you feel that you're either in an unsafe position or you're trying to be still in the playoff hunt like we were last year, that you can't risk taking these taking chances. And because we haven't had the depth and we haven't had the quality in depth, that's why managers have just absolutely flogged the willing horse every single time. So that's why Heim had to play every single game. He shouldn't have had to play every single game. I mean, I'll be honest, I am part of the old school thought of, if you're a professional footballer, you should be fit, you should be doing everything at home that you need to do, you should be doing everything on the training pitch that you need to do. You know, this is your career, you need to be available every single game. But the game has changed. It is far more athletic now. It's all about athlete over football skills. So if the game is getting is harder, we've already discussed this, that it's a very hard turf that they play on. Even in this rain, it's still quite hard. It takes a lot on his body. If you're not rotating players, it's a dangerous game to play, and we just haven't had the depth. So I don't know whether just managers have just said, you know what, I haven't got the depth, so I can't, and they're not trusting the players to come in and do a job, or they felt the pressure. I don't know. But I'm looking at the squad now, and technically we only have 3 centre-backs listed. That's not including George Pratt, with Carter, Wharton and McLaughlin. Now, if I was to think about a one-word answer for each of them, most of it would probably be injury-prone for Carter and Wharton, and McLaughlin is an unknown person. To us anyway. So you've got 2 players there that aren't exactly known for playing week in, week out in Carter and Wharton. So there's a concern. And McLaughlin seems hell-bent on collecting more disciplinary points than team points. So straight off the bat, you've got 3 players there that would never go into play every single game. So it is a massive concern. I agree with you. I don't feel like Lewis Miller was bought to be a centre-back, as much as people are claiming that and things that were said. I don't think he was claiming to be a centre-back. But even if he was, it's still not the depth we're looking for. I don't know why we didn't dip into the loan market. I really don't, because it was available. It was available for us to go into the loan market and find a centre-back. We've seen success there. And I know that they wanted to go and get permanent, but the harping back to the Heim thing, and I know we shouldn't do it because what's done's done. But if you are going to let a player go, like you said, and not bring in another player, even on loan, I think he's extremely risky. And I do hope that George Pratt's the answer and that he can come in and actually add some depth. But it's risky.
It is. I mean, I was glad we didn't play Carter in the last game. I'd rather thought it would be nonsensical to bring him on. I thought, you've got 2 weeks off, then don't risk him. I think they've made a rod for their own back talking about the loan market and not wanting to dip into it unless you're going to make them permanent. I understand that. I do understand it. But then when you're selling Dom Heim on the last day of the window, if you can't turn down that money, fine. But then you have to, you can't do everything, can you? So if you've got Conor O'Riordan and you think he's not ready, he needs to go and play loads of games, when actually he would have probably played loads of games with us. If he's not ready then, and you don't want to throw him into the Championship and he needs exposure to League One, load him out, fine. But don't leave yourself short. If that's the priorities, Conor O'Riordan needs to come back for January, for the summer to be the next big thing or the next one on the conveyor belt, fine. That's why you use the loan market, though. Just while he goes and you're almost loaning so you can free him up. George Pratt, who knows? I think at 22, people would normally say, well, why has he not been in and around the first team? Well, he's been injured. He's had a real...
Yes, his progression is further along than what a normal player would be.
And then he's come back towards the end of the season. Not really had a pre-season, probably done a pre-season, mid-season, but then he's done well to get back and play football. So I wouldn't read too much into his age, other than I think he's quite a mature boy. He's, he's a captain of the 21s. He's a leader. He's very vocal. He was organising people. I think there's probably people that they have higher hopes for. I think Tom Aitchinson's one of them. Max Davis is a left-footed, who I remember seeing him at 16, left-footed. He was over 6 foot, good on the ball. I think they've got higher hopes for them, and in terms of having a higher ceiling. But George Pratt's clearly the front of the queue, partly because O'Riordan's out the door, but that's sometimes how it happens. I think we've had times before where we've had players that were probably not necessarily, if they did a depth chart of the 21s, the next person on the conveyor belt. But somebody's out on loan, there's an injury, someone's got a knock. That's how people end up playing football.
And we don't have the clauses in their loans either, do we?
Yeah, but that's how people end up getting chances, isn't it? Because circumstance leads it. There you go. Take it. Well,
let's see a positive on Pratt. If you're a manager and you've got a young lad there, a relatively young lad, that is big, he's strong, he's been with the club for a while. We stood by him when he was injured, offering him deals. You're going to have a player there that is hungry to prove himself, hungry to get on that pitch and actually show what he can do, but also appreciate what the club has done for him. And I feel like you could get something out of that. I feel like it's a motivation that could really kick on. Now, talent's going to be one thing, but mentality's another. And it sounds to me, from everything you're saying to me, and we haven't spoken, this is the most we've spoken about George Pratt, even as a total, than what we've done previously. But from what you're telling me, being a leader, mentally strong, to come back from these injuries, we could have a player here that could really step in and, from a mental side, raise it for us. Just by seeing, not raise it for us, it probably isn't the right thing, but just it gives him something to approve. What am I looking for? What words am I looking for, Mark? I just feel like he could be a comeback player for us that could come on, and if this mental state that he's got and leadership, it could be really positive. I've just got a feeling from things that you've said.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know him personally, but you show your personality on a football pitch. You show your personality in what you do. He's gone through a massive injury at a crucial time in a footballer's career, because you might not be a footballer. If you don't make it from the 18s, 21s into the first team, you're not going to be a footballer. We've talked numerous times about Rovers' selling point is the stats of getting to 100 games. He's at the point where he's at 0 league games. If he doesn't make those 100 games, he might never be a footballer. He might be working with me or you in the next couple of years and playing part-time and probably still earning a decent wage, but he might not be a professional footballer. If he has the mental fortitude to come back from an injury, get your place back in that 21s team and captain it again, fair play to him. And I think he's got to be worth a shout against QPR, because we're still going to have Noel Wharton. Miller's going to be back. McLaughlin potentially could be injured, but should be fit. I would go back to a back three against QPR. It's at home. There'll be about 3 men and his dog there. I would play him at centre half in the middle of those two on that game. I
think the words I was looking for is a feel good story.
Nice.
And I think that's the way I see it. And if he has got that leadership at such a young age, it'd be nice to see him on the pitch and have an opportunity. Because looking at right back, I feel like we've got what we need there. Looking at left back, we've said that was a position that wasn't of need. We were happy there. It is that centre back, and before we finish this little bit, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions. How important now is between now and the window opening for the current squad to prove themselves?
I don't want to sit on the fence, but I think people like Henriksen, as much as I've said I want to see things from them now, I think they will be given the full season. And I think they will be almost, not given a free pass, but I think they'll almost be judged next season by the club. But I think there are certain people, Ainsley Pears being one. Ainsley Pears has got a run of games that, let's be honest, nobody saw coming. And maybe not for his Rovers career, but it's massive for his career. He could get a move in January. He clearly couldn't get a move or one he wanted in the summer. I look at Lewis Miller, and I think he is playing right wing back for Australia, and he's going to a World Cup by the looks of it. Can he get himself a starting position, or do we need to go and buy somebody? Because then, let's be honest, he's playing second fiddle to Alabiasu. So it's massive for him. McLaughlin's going to get a run of games. Is the partner going to be with him, or is Wharton going to come back in? So the short answer, Mike, I think is it's massive for certain individuals, and it's big for some in terms of whether they play much football between now and the end of the season. But for some individuals, it's really crucial. I think Ainsley Pears, his career, not that he won't have a career, but where it goes hinges on it. And I think people like Lewis Miller and Sean McLaughlin, it hinges on what sort of role they're going to play at the club. Are they going to be a backup, or are they going to be actually a starting player?
Yeah, I think there's two players that have potential to leave, and that's Pears and Gay, or Pape Gay. I think those are the two that will most likely, if the club could cash in and get something for there, we'd let them go. Because as much as we need Pears now, Tote's obviously the one going forward, and Pears isn't going to want to sit and back up, and there's some value there as well. So I think the club will probably look to move Pears on. I think that'll probably be the best thing for his career as well. As much as I hope he comes in and does a great job and covers Tote, I want Tote coming back in that squad, that team. So, and that's the life of a goalkeeper. If you're happy to be a backup, absolutely fine. But you're not going to be making a decent amount of money or a decent career being a backup at Blackburn Rovers. You're just not. So you need to kind of, you can't do a Scott Carson with us. So you are going to be probably moved on, and Pape Gay is going to be the other one. I think there's a few that their terms of their contract renewal, I think, could be big.
Okay.
Like a Tronstad. I think if he doesn't necessarily perform as well as what we know he can, the club might be a bit more reluctant to offer them the deals, and there's obviously others there. And then there's the youngsters, the ones that are out on loan, the ones that are in the squad that might be going on, like a Tarjan and so on. So I think the ones that will probably look to move on is Pape Gay and Pears. But I do actually think what's going to be important is some of these contract renewals.
Yeah.
I don't like the fact that we're not hearing about much, but maybe the club's just thinking, do you know what, you need to, if you're asking for a lot of money, you need to prove how good you are. Because if you're not proving how good you are, then we're quite happy just to let you go for nothing.
Yeah, and there's obviously some really independent. I mean, for me now, Tote's injured. Hungary, I've obviously conceded 3 goals, and I think they're out of the playoffs maybe now because he's been injured.
They're done apparently, yeah.
Yeah, I'd get him renewed now. We are in as stronger position as I think we'll be with Tote. I've seen enough of him to see he's going to be a very good keeper for hopefully for us. But his contract runs out in 18 months. Obviously, your mate Ryan contract is up in the summer. Augustus Gloops.
I think he's earned a renewal, hasn't he?
I would have him in and around the squad. I think he can't be on fortune's hedges. He plays in literally every single position. Maybe he'll put a start in the nets on Saturday. Who knows? I think he'd be daft not to have Ryan Hedges. He doesn't seem to massively kick a fuss up. He puts in the
seems a professional
performance. Yeah, he does. Other than when he first started, he's fit most weeks now. So absolutely. But then I think one player that we've not really mentioned is Montgomery. Montgomery would be quite low down the pecking order if you picked from, I mean, Baracci, by all accounts, is a world beater. Tavares, we brought him for massive money for us. So you would imagine they're ahead of him in the pecking order. Tronstad's ahead of him. Arguably Forshaw is. But Montgomery is, by injury, by luck, by hook, crook, whatever, has found himself in a position where I'm asking for him to start at the weekend. I'm not even thinking about Tavares starting. And if he goes and does that and puts in a good performance, he could have himself banging the frame to play a fantastic number of fixtures this season. But again, get that contract renewed, because I've seen enough to say I want to give him a couple of years at least.
He's definitely someone that could potentially go out on loan if the next. So this is talking about between now and December, now in January. That if some of these midfielders kick on, and like you say, some of them come in for big money. If they come in and show, well, actually, they are solid. They've started to settle. Then Christie could be one that does go out on loan, and he's someone that I would quite happily let go out on loan if the others have stepped up, as long as we've got him on a deal, because he does seem like a good player for us. He seems like he's the kind of person that can be a little bit of a utility player. He reminds me of a JRC that has a starting position but can play elsewhere. So where JRC was kind of a bit of everywhere, I feel like Christie is a centre mid. I think it was something you said quite early on, and I can see it. I think he is a centre mid, but he can play elsewhere. So if these others kick on between now and January, I'll quite happily let him go out on loan. But again, you don't want to sacrifice depth, so that we do need to kick on. We need to make sure the likes of Baracci come back fit. I mean, Jake Garrett, I mean, we've still got him on the books, obviously, whenever he's going to be back. But you've got Baracci, Tavares, Tronstad, Henriksen, Forshaw. Cantwell could potentially drop into that midfield too. So there are quite a few names there that should be in that two slots. And the fact that Christie's playing there just shows that those players either haven't kicked on or they just can't keep themselves fit.
Yeah, and I think what I always look at with young players is how do they handle playing in the first team? They can obviously show they can handle training to get that chance. But then, okay, the temperament. Right, what I need to see now is how do they handle different situations? But to be fair to him, he's got thrown into some horrific situations. Game one, play out position at right back, and you're 2-0 down against Sheffield Wednesday. But I've seen his temperament doesn't seem fazed by being thrown in. But I've seen him play better and better, in my opinion, every single time I've seen him. That's all you can ask. Again, I don't think he's a world beater right now, but I'm seeing somebody who gives his all, is learning, is getting better every game. So, full of energy. I would have him in the middle of the park over at Tavares right now, every day of the week, and twice on a Friday night away at Preston.
No, I agree. So people, put your comments down below. Once again, what's your thoughts on the squad? Where do we need to improve? Who do you think should be out the door permanently? Who would you send out on loan? Is there any names that you would bring in on loan? I've seen quite a few. I watched the England under-21s on Friday, and there was a few there from both sides of England and Ireland that looked pretty decent that I would take in on loan. There was I need to find his name, but a Liverpool left winger that played for Ireland that was very, very good. Not that we need any in that position, but it just shows that there's players out there. But that's the young players. Let's talk about the old players and the old players that played against Old Etonians. Didn't take David Bentley long, did it?
It did not. I think we'd all talked about before the game, how unfortunate that it's, after the Derby game, if we lose, is it going to be empty? Fair play. I thought the attendance on the day was impressive. Partly because it's an event, and partly because of the ticket pricing. 20,000 or so would have been higher if we give Derby more. I don't know why we didn't, whether they didn't want them or whatever. But I thought that the number stuck around for that game, probably more than we usually get at home, so that helped. But Bentley within less than a minute, was it? And he just showed some touches of. I mean, I was sat with my nephew who's never seen David Bentley play football, and we were watching him in the warm up. I was like, just look at him. And you think, and then your mind's going back, and it was probably the perfect tonic, really, to the Derby game in the end. Your mind's going back, and you remembering two guys warming up, keeping up his 50 feet in the air on his own, and pinging balls to people. And Bentley was just doing stuff in the warm up that, without being disparaging, I don't think any of our players could do in their prime now. It's just a shame his legs have defeated him slightly, but they hadn't done for that first minute. And some of those dance moves, well, I don't know what was more impressive, his dance moves or his footballing.
It did look good fun. I'm glad the club put it on. Obviously, there was no anniversary kit that we was all looking forward to. I think we was all expecting something, and it didn't happen, did it?
It didn't. There's been one leaked on Soccer Store. Now, I was led to believe that we were having an anniversary kit. Nobody said we're not having an anniversary kit. I think rough rumours were that the kit was going to go on sale, maybe be unveiled on the Friday, go on sale early morning against Derby when it was going to be a 3 o'clock kickoff with a view to it being low demand. Highlighted that it's low stock, highlighted it's limited edition. Go and get it when people sort of an impulse buy. Rumours now, and there's nothing confirmed. This is just because there's a vacuum of information, or that it will come out after Christmas because we've not sold enough of the home shirts. I think that's as much to do with the fact that the home shirt is really shiny and looks poor to me. I don't mind the design, but I think the kit itself looks pretty poor. And the fact that, I don't know about you, but I don't really want to go paying £180 upwards for 3 shirts and then a possible 4th. So I certainly don't think I'm going to be buying an anniversary shirt for 150th year in our 151st year. But anyway.
I know, it seems like a bit of a strange business decision. I'm not a businessman. I don't claim to be. It just seems very strange. I mean, this absolute rascal number that I'm wearing now that is absolutely disgusting was bought for me. Not a fan of this yellow one.
Do you know what, though? I think when you have shirts that are so out there, you get 10 years down the line and all of a sudden they become cool, don't they? Oh, do you remember that one? And then someone will see you wearing it and go, oh, yeah, that was cool.
Well, the guy that bought me this was the one that bought me that original yellow one, the CIS yellow, hyper yellow one. And he bought me that for a joke. And he bought me this one because he heard that you'd called it the dehydrated piss one. And
I didn't call it. I just relayed the description. Your Honour, when Rovers marketing team are watching this and are asking me to do the next campaign,
So he said he's got me the green one as well. He'd had a drink and he was just telling me the ones he bought me because we did like a Secret Santa, but he said he got me this one. He's got me the green one, but I did like the home one this year. And obviously I went and got it. I was quite happy, but I was looking forward to an anniversary one. I'd seen the leaks, and I'll be honest, based on the leak that I'd seen and the quality and everything, I really liked it. And I know it was mixed bag, and we spoke about it on here, but I really liked it, and I was looking forward to getting hold of one of those. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, but I do feel like they've missed a trick. I thought if you're going to do it, this was the time to do it. And I really like the idea of playing this 150th game against Old Etonians with the guys all coming out and potentially wearing the flat caps as well, because they were all getting caps as well, so some of them were getting caps. It would have been really nice to have something like that. And then just have
it was a plan that came together, wasn't it, that then didn't?
Yeah, it seemed really strange. It just seemed like it was going that way, and then bang, it just didn't. So yeah, I was a bit disappointed, but I'm glad that they did that. And obviously, there was always going to be negatives on social media coming out of it, and that was one of the negatives that came out. The forum, obviously, has been in the social media news. Yeah.
Yeah, it has. I've had a couple of messages saying you're talked about on a podcast. I've had a couple of messages saying you've been talked about on BRFCS. I'll be honest, I haven't been on BRFCS for probably since X was invented. But just going on the Legends game before I forget, that I've noticed it's on YouTube. If anyone's not seen it, the whole game's on the YouTube. It's not, I think the whole game, maybe extended highlights. Yeah, in terms of forums, so the last minutes are out, they're on the website. What I think we need to do with the forum moving forward is my personal opinion, nothing other than, not my role of the forum. I just think the forum needs to be more transparent. I think the minutes are intended to be a summary. If you try and do them as a full transcript, it's a 2.5 hour meeting. Nobody's going to read a full transcript. For me, the purpose of the forum is to try and give your views and to get information from the club. So there are occasions where the club will say, do you know what? We told you it was 9,000 season tickets. It's actually 8,700 and something. I'm not there to catch anybody out. I'm going, okay, well, let's put that out because you, for example, haven't been at the forum. You want to catch the minutes. But I also think that there shouldn't be I think there's a bit of mystique about the forum. It's not anything mystique. There was something on the website. You can apply to go on it. I did that when I was 16. I went on since I was 17. I'm now a lot older than that. People can do that, but I'm trying to work with the club to make it even more open, really. One of the ways that I want to do that is just get a full constitution. So we're looking at making it so that members of actual supporters groups make sure they're attending. We have a number of them. We've got Proud Rovers. Shouldn't name them because I'm going to start missing one. Her Game 2, the Independent Disabled Supporters Group, the Rovers Trust, now we are the Rovers, Evil Blues, various BRFCS. There's a number of groups, and then we have a junior fan forum that started. And it's just a way for the club to bounce some ideas in a room that's big enough to have a proper discussion. But I think that needs to be opened up a bit more and a bit more obvious how you get on there. I'm trying to do a schedule of, we've got a schedule of when the forums are, but in terms of what one of the themes of the meetings will be. So the club have timelines. So for example, the last one, we had to talk about the kits for not next season, the season after, even though we're not going to manufacture it yet, because if we didn't, we'd have no input into it because of the timelines. We get to February, we'll have to talk about season tickets then, because if we don't, we'll run out of time. So I think I'm trying to put that out there. And then if anyone's got a burning desire to come and talk about season tickets, you turn up to that one, let us know. So I'm just trying to get all that a bit more organised, really, and have some independent fans there as well. But one way we've talked about doing it is live streaming the thing, because I think, unfortunately for Blackburn Rovers, because of past history, people are very distrusting. So if they record the actual forum and put it out there, people will probably, no doubt, even though it wouldn't be, turn around and say, oh, you've edited something out, you've cropped it, you've made it look like this. So the only way around it for me is to live stream it. People say, why can't you have a massive meeting? They did that years ago in the Blackburn End. I'll be honest, it became a bit of a free-for-all, a bit of a let's have a pop at the club. Maybe that would die down if you have 2 or 3. But sometimes you want to have a meaningful discussion and a back and forth. And I think, just in my personal view, as when I'm at work, we have 100 employees. Well, if you're doing that, you can't have a meaningful discussion with 100. You need to do it at a smaller basis and then go around. So hopefully we can make some progress with that. There's nothing malicious when the minutes are put out there. People turn around and say that they've got the real minutes, the drafted version. People add to them. The club add their recollections of the meeting, or occasionally, actually, we've got the actual figures for this. Or, do you know what? I said it was this person that looks at that. It's actually this one. What would you rather, the actual information or somebody being misquoted? To me, you want the information. So that's generally what goes in the minutes, and it's a summary. Does it always reflect the full meeting? Well, no, because we had a discussion around club kits probably for about half an hour. And to be fair to the club, they had a conversation about it. But the upshot of it is we're in a current contract, and confidentiality-wise, if we've heard your views about who you'd like to be the kit supplier. I love Adidas Special. It's no secret that Rovers fans are saying that there's a deal on the table from Special. X, Y, and Z have said that. Gary Aston is the curator of it. He's a Rovers season ticket holder. Makes perfect sense. We'd all, from my point of view, adore that. I spend too much money on Adidas Special. So if you stick a Rovers badge on it, you've got me. But clubs make decisions based on a raft of reasons. Whether I agree with them or not, I can tell them that, but it's not going to change their opinion. I'd love to be able to sit on the Blackburn Rovers board and have a massive, meaningful impact and say, do you know what? We're going to have Adidas Special kits. They're going to be blue and white. They're going to be reversed on the back. No one's messing around with them. Unfortunately, I can't. I can tell them my opinion. And then the people who chair their groups or representing their groups can go and get the opinions of the people and can come back. I just think it needs to be a bit more transparent. And we do that by two options. You do a full transcript of the meeting, which I don't think anyone would want to read 300 pages, which it will probably be. Practically getting, what was the last time? 30 people there to look through all the minutes and go, oh, actually, I said this. No one's going to fully agree. Will there be things missed off? Possibly. What you think is really important to be put in there, I might not. It's difficult. I get it. So I think we just need to whack it on live stream, and hopefully that helps. I don't really know what else they can do. But in terms of anything major that came out of it, I think you probably heard it all. But yeah, but one other thing before we go, Mike, I've got a little treat for you. I know, you are a man of the IT world, so I decided I'd ask AI. I saw it on another podcast. I nicked it off Ben Foster's, it might have been, or somebody else's. And it asked them to summarize a paragraph of what the football career would look like if it was that person. The only information I've given it, Mike, bizarrely it knew who we were. Weird. But I've just said to it, Mike is a goalkeeper, and I played in right midfield predominantly. So I'll summarise this. But Mike's career type was commanding, loyal, slightly eccentric leader, brave shot stopper, with great reflexes, vocal organiser, thrives under pressure. He was a local team hero at youth level, spotted for his leadership and reactions. Peak club. I'm not happy with the description. Championship or lower Premier League side, something like Blackburn Rovers. It goes on to name a couple of teams there. You played over 400 games, Mike. You were known for clutch penalty saves and being the dressing room glue. Captained the team for years. Never flashy, but respected by teammates and fans alike. After retirement, Mike became a goalkeeping coach and then a pundit. Straight talking and insightful. Always defends fellow keepers from harsh criticism. Player comparisons. Think Ben Foster meets Mark Schwarzer. Reliable, smart, and a proper professional. Now,
I'd say that.
People who know me will very much argue with this one. Mark, right midfielder, creative grafter. Grafter's probably not the description most people would. A fan favourite. I love that. Cheers. Playing style, industrious wide man who can whip in a deadly cross, but also track back. Maybe not the end bit. Known for intelligence. Cheers. Work rate and delivering in big moments. I came through at Blackburn Rovers. I had spells in League One before breaking into the first team. I had a solid EFL career, maybe a few Premier League appearances. Club legend at Rovers. I'm taking this. Career summary, 70 plus assists, 50 plus goals, always gives 100%. Not the flashiest, but dependable and passionate. Known for big game performances and leadership. After retirement, I moved into the media. Wait for this bit. Hosting a podcast about football and life around the game. Player comparison. I'm having this all day long. Somewhere between David Bentley and James Milner.
There we go. tell you what, I would take those careers. I really would.
I've then got it to summarise us. I'll send it over to you. But yeah. After hanging up his gloves, he transitioned smoothly into coaching, passing on his experience to the next generation of keepers.
I tell you what, I'm just a great guy, aren't I? Doing that, just giving back to the community. It sounds like a career. Sounds like a perfect career.
You know what, Mike? I'm reading yours. This is brilliant. A commanding and dependable goalkeeper. Mike built his career on sharp reflexes, calm under pressure, and an unwavering presence between the posts.
I definitely wasn't calm under pressure. I lost my head a hell of a lot.
A natural leader and organiser, he earned the trust of teammates and fans alike through consistency and professionalism rather than flash. Known for big saves in crucial moments, he became the kind of keeper every team relies on. Reliable, vocal, and fiercely competitive. After hanging up his gloves, he transitioned smoothly into coaching, passing on his experience to the next generation of goalkeepers. And then I've got a creative and hard-working right midfielder. Mark combined technical quality with relentless determination. I didn't. Comfortable driving forward or tracking back. Became a fan favourite for his energy. No. Precise crossing and for a knack of stepping up in key matches. Though not always the headline act, his intelligence on the ball and passion for the badge made him indispensable. After a long and loyal career, he remained close to the game, using his insight and love for football to carve out a respected voice in the media. Thanks. I'm taking those careers, Mike. I think we've done well. We've done well in our careers. Well done.
I'll tell you what. That just feels like a dream that we couldn't even dream of. It really does.
Yeah,
it really does. No, I appreciate that, Mark. That was a nice one to end on. We'll save talking about Gregory Vignal being the new under-21 coach next week. That was the biggest news that we had, and it was a non-news thing anyway. He started not very well, but we'll get onto him another time.
I think you've talked about Mark. Gregory Vignal is the new under-21s manager. He played for Liverpool when we lost our first game. Done. Yeah, done. No, I have to do a bit of research on next week. I will save it next week.
There we go. But no, I appreciate you joining us this week, Mark, after your horrendous illness that everyone was guessing was wrong. Yeah. But you're back in full flow. Are Rovers going to be back in full flow this week?
Yeah. I'm turning up at Deepdale in the cold, so they better bloody turn up, and I think they will.
Good man. I have the faith as well. But everyone, put your comments down below on everything we've spoken about. Do all the good stuff, liking and subscribing. We will take a picture of us together on Thursday. We'll be suited and booted at the Content Awards. You'll get to see us in a suit. Crazy times. But no, Mark, thanks for joining me, and I will definitely see you Thursday.
No worries, bud. I'll be honest, my biggest concern between now and Thursday is whether my shirt fits. My button definitely won't. Put on far too much timber, but life moves on. And I keep spending too much money on Spezial instead of suits. So, and I'm not sorry for that.
Just get him to make you a Spezial suit between now and then.
I'll just turn up in my Spezial coat. It'll be all right, yeah.
Nice one. Well, hope everyone has a great week. And until next time, have a good one.